Welcome to the Arts in Medicine studio. I'm so excited that today we're going to visit Deborah Jaffe at Songbird Studio. I know many of you have gone and done ceramic workshops there in the last couple of years. So I asked Ria to join us. Hi, Ria.
Hey, Nitza, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I love your camp shirt.
Oh, thank you. Isn't it fun?
It's fun. I feel bad for not wearing one myself since we're celebrating this most amazing space. And hello, Deborah.
Hi, nice to see you both. Welcome to Songbird Studio.
Thank you. I wonder if we can find a bird while we're out there. Can you show us the backyard?
Yes, let me do that. Okay, so I had a butterfly, beautiful butterfly in these flowers a moment ago. And I had a hummingbird just a moment ago on this feeder. And this is my Songbird Studio that we're going to enter in a few minutes.
That's fantastic. I'm so appreciative that for the last couple of years, you've taken some of our kids from Sister Pat's camp to your studio. And I thought maybe others who may go next year could experience your space, what you do, and maybe we even make a little bit of art together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go inside Songbird Studio. Come in. It's much cooler inside. So this is my studio. This is my work table. This is where I prepare the clay. And continuing the tour, let's turn some lights on here. All of my work in progress on shelves. And in there is my kiln room where I fire my pieces. They get really, really hot, about 2,000 degrees, and that's what makes them permanent and last forever. So I thought what we might do to start is just show you how I start when I'm working with clay. So I have a bag of clay, soft clay, and I'm going to reach into, and it's nice and really soft and mushy. It's the reason I love clay, because the only tools you need are your hands, and you can squeeze it and change the shape of it. But before we make something, we have to do something called wedge it. And that's to get it ready, get it a little drier, and also get the air bubbles out. Sometimes there are bubbles in there, little spaces. And if that goes in the kiln, the oven, the air heats up and it will explode the piece. So it's really important, the first part. With air dry, it doesn't matter. But when we're going to fire something in the kiln, we're going to cook it, it has to be wedged and all the air out of it. So that's what I'm doing. It's also, people say it's like if you make bread, if anyone's ever made bread, it's the same idea. It's called kneading or wedging. So over and over and over again. Another way, before I learned how to do it that way, used to be able to just throw it and bang it and get the air out. That was another way of wedging it.
We do this in the studio all the time where we throw the clay and we beat it and we think about air bubbles. And again, if you're using air hardening clay, then you don't have to worry about wedging, because this one would not go to the kiln, would not be fired.
Exactly. So now I have a very well pre-wedged piece, just like on the cooking shows. We're going to take it over to the potter's wheel. I'm going to show you how I make a very simple bowl, because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how to make your own little bowl, not with a wheel, but it has a lot of similarities to what I'm about to do. Okay, so I put my piece of clay in the middle of the wheel head. It's called the wheel, close to the center as possible. And this first step is called centering the clay. Some of you might have seen this or even done it yourself. And it's an electric kiln, an electric wheel. So I have a foot pedal that makes it go when I push the pedal. I wet my hands, because if I didn't wet my hands would catch on it. So you have to keep your hands wet. And basically, like I said, this is called centering. And I want to keep it right, get it to go right in the center the wheel head. And I'm gonna make it a little faster, and I keep dipping my hands into water, and I use my strength, and I keep my arms still. And at a certain point, you'll see that it's not wiggling around. And I can also feel it. Sometimes I close my eyes and I just use my sense of feel and movement to tell me when it's ready. And I'm gonna say that's ready enough.
So Deborah, I find that when I work with clay, when I close my eyes, I actually feel like there's eyes in the tips of my finger, and I could feel the thickness and the balance of the clay. Does it happen to you?
There's something about the sense of touch and feel with clay is really, really important. It gives you more information sometimes than your eyes, because your eyes can be deceiving, but this is all about feel and touch. So I'm pressing down right in the middle to open my bowl. I'm gonna pull too much because I wanna make a bowl shape. And now what I'm gonna do, one hand on the inside, one hand on the outside, and this is where I'm gonna squeeze or pinch a little bit. And this is gonna come into play when we do our pot together. So I'm pinching or squeezing, and you'll see how the walls of the bowl are starting to rise. And you do it a few more times. This is when I should slow the wheel down a bit so I get a little more control.
Whoa.
And I have all these different tools here. I don't know if you can see them. My little pile of tools, different sponges, different wooden tools that help me make different shapes, help me clean up the kind of mushy stuff that's on the outside. This is called a rib. And I can use it on the outside as I'm pushing or pinching on the inside towards it. And maybe for this, we'll do just one more pull.
That's beautiful. That looks like the pots that I saw the campers bring in, those amazing pots that I don't think that they threw it on the wheel at your studio, but I think that they actually glazed it after you fired it.
That's right. I made a bunch of these like this. Then I fired them once, and that's called bisque firing, and that's when they're ready for glaze. So those the kids did. They came and they glazed things. Then I fired it a second time, and so it was all shiny and bright and permanent, and that's when they took it home. So, but this was a very similar shape. And then what you do, take a wire tool, and you just cut underneath it. So now it's separated, but what do you think would happen if I tried to pick it up right now?
It'll get squished. What do you think, Ria?
Oh, it'd be a big blob.
Yeah. So I don't touch it. It's released. I let it dry, and then it will be firm, and then we can move it. So we don't have time for that, but just want to show you that step. Okay, so now we're going to do our own project together. I need to wash my hands, so I'll be right back.
We're already working on our clay ball because we want to really do something with you. The one thing I was so impressed was that the boys loved working with ceramics and glazing. They were so proud to receive their fired pieces.
That's great. Yeah, they did a beautiful job. Such beautiful, bright colors. I think you have some pictures of them from last year, maybe people. All right, let me get my piece of clay.
I love her studio. It's so beautiful.
So we're gonna make, you might have heard of pinch pots before. Basically, a pinch pot is like a version of a bowl. So the first part I did on the wheel was called centering. So we're gonna do centering basically the same way. We're gonna try and make as perfect a round shape as we can. So that's like the centering. And you can do it like I'm doing it, like this, or if you have like a piece of cardboard or tabletop that you can clean off, you can use just one hand and roll it like that. You just work on it, trying to keep it round. If it starts getting wonky, you can just like tap it where it's wonky and get it back round again. Another way is like, if good, wow, Nitza, that's impressive. Wow.
I think she's worked in clay before.
I think so. And another way too is if you just keep your hands rounded and you throw it back and forth like a baseball. If anyone's ever thrown a baseball back and forth in their hand. So when you think you've got a good, nice round ball, you're going to put it in one hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm putting it in my left hand. And I keep my hand, again, rounded because I don't want it to flatten out just yet. And you can take your thumb or your pointer finger, whatever feels comfortable for you. And we're going to stick it in the middle. We're not going to go all the way through. We're going to go like 3/4 of the way through. I think I'm going to use my pointer finger. I'm going to push in like that. Okay. So you guys should have something that kind of looks like that on your finger. Then you take your finger out and you can see that is the beginning of a pinch pot. Now at this point, good, right? That looks great. So we're going to put now our thumb in the center and we're going to put our 4 fingers on the outside. And this is the part when I was on the wheel, which is what I said, like pulling up the walls. So we're going to spin it around slowly, kind of like the wheel spun around, but we're going to squeeze our thumb against our 4 fingers. A little bit, just a little bit, a pinch. Then we're going to change our angle, move our fingers around next to where they were, and pinch again, just a little. It's a gradual process, just like being on the wheel. And again, move everything around and pinch, move everything around and pinch. Once you've gotten around once, it should still look like something like this, more or less. And if it doesn't, you can smush it up and start over, because that's the great thing about this material. And then you're going to want to get it, you know, kind of as thin as you want. And if the clay gets too thin, it's going to collapse. So we're just going to keep pinching and turning, pinching and turning, pinching and turning, pinching and turning.
Deborah, I have an air hardening clay, and what I see is that as I touch it, it's drying and cracking. Should I put my hand in the water like you did to hydrate it?
The clay should maybe be a little softer. That's because it's very dry. And Nitza, I kind of like the cracks too, though.
You know, I love it when things go wrong in art.
Because it's not wrong.
Right.
I don't think that's wrong. I like the way that that looks on the surface. Some people try really hard to get things to look that way. So anyway, I'm just kind of talking and squeezing and pinching. And then at a certain point, it's kind of thin enough. And you can put it on a surface and make a flat surface like that. Then you've got a little bowl or a pinch pot. Have anything with texture to meshes in it? I think I have some shells here. Yeah, I have a very beautiful little shell. Where's my camera? There. So there we go. I want to see how that looks if I press it in. Oh, I like that. Do you see that impression? Nitza, look.
Oh, I thought you were going to push it in and leave it there, but no, you're just getting the impression. I love that.
Yeah, and I could roll it too. So things you have around that have texture, even like a fork with prongs or shells or buttons, and you can decorate the surface.
I have a marker.
Oh, you can make the circle. Yep.
Could I leave my, this is from Foxglove, and it's all dried up. And I was trying to make a print, but I left the dried leaves on there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I didn't mean to.
But there you go. There's something you weren't planning again that actually turns out really nicely.
Deborah, I noticed that if I close my eyes, and squeeze, I can feel the thickness of the wall better. Because
Yep,
I feel
exactly.
with my thumb where it's really thick,
Exactly.
and I try to match it. Am I doing the right thing?
That's right. Actually, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you and I'm not looking at the clay, and I'm feeling where it's thicker, which I didn't notice before. Yeah, so much about touch when you're working with clay.
And the cracks now look really nice.
Yeah, yeah, they look intentional to me.
How do I flatten the bottom?
Oh, if you, any surface, flat surface you're working on, just put it down and kind of press from the inside, and you'll make a floor. You'll make a flat floor, and that way it won't, that way it will stand up.
This is amazing.
It's beautiful.
Ria, can we see yours? Can you get it closer to us? I love that. Well, Deborah, thank you so much. This was such an amazing visit. I
It
can't
was
wait.
great to have company. It's great to have company. Yeah, it's been kind of quiet here this year. So I'm hoping that the kids can come back next year and do this in person.
And it's interesting because I know by the time they watch it, camp would have been over, but today is Wednesday and they would be at camp. And I think that's the day that they came to your studio last year.
I think so. I think so,
So,
Yeah, the
Ria?
kids really loved it. They came back and showed their pots and really wanted to go back again.
yeah. Well,
What-
good. They are welcome.
I'm very, very happy that both Raya and Deborah wore camp shirts today. I'm grateful for Deborah for spending time with us. This is our 17th video. We're concluding season 2. Thank you all for joining us. Please send us your comments, impressions, artwork to AIMNitza@gmail.com, and see you soon. Miss you all.
Bye, guys.